Welcome to News Edge, your sharpest source for daily headlines and deep dives. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay ahead of the curve. Imagine a company as American as apple pie, Ford. For over a century, Ford has built cars for America, by Americans, putting the country on wheels and shaping the middle class. The blue oval is more than a brand, it's a symbol of American ingenuity. So when Ford makes a move that shakes its American identity, the world pays attention. That's exactly what happened when Ford announced it was canceling plans to sell a new car in the United States. The car, the Focus Active, designed for Americans, the reason new government tariffs made it unprofitable to import. Instead of fighting or adapting, Ford walked away. This wasn't just about one car, it was a statement about the future of manufacturing in a world of shifting rules. The announcement ignited debate. Is Ford abandoning America or making a smart business move? The answer isn't simple. It's about global supply chains, billions of dollars, and thousands of jobs. This story is about what it means to be an American company today. Ford's decision could set a precedent for other corporations, redefining America's relationship with its industrial giants. The shockwaves are still spreading from Michigan factories to families shopping for cars. We're at a crossroads, where global economics and national pride collide. The stakes have never been higher for Ford, its workers, and the nation it calls home. The final chapter of this story is still being written. To understand Ford's decision, we need to talk about tariffs, a tax on imported goods. Tariffs make foreign products more expensive, aiming to protect domestic industries. For example, if a TV from abroad is cheaper than an American one, a tariff can tip the scales. The idea encouraged consumers to buy American, supporting factories and jobs at home. These new tariffs were part of a broader economic strategy under President Trump. The administration argued that countries like China had taken advantage of the U.S. for decades, pointing to trade deficits and unfair practices. Tariffs were seen as a weapon to force fairer trade deals and bring manufacturing back to the U.S., the hope make it too costly to build overseas, so companies invest in American factories. This was the promise: tariffs would protect jobs and restore manufacturing glory. But as Ford's move shows, the real-world effects are far more complicated. Instead of boosting American production, tariffs can disrupt global supply chains. Companies may find it easier to walk away from the U.S. market than absorb higher costs. The Focus Active's cancellation is a case study in how these policies can backfire. Tariffs are a blunt tool, and their impact ripples through every link in the supply chain. What was meant to protect American jobs sometimes ends up costing them. The story is never as simple as it seems. The Trump administration saw tariffs as a way to fight for American workers and reverse decades of factory closures. The main target, China, accused of unfair trade practices and undercutting U.S. industries. Tariffs on steel, aluminum, and other goods were the opening shots in a new trade war. The message, America, would no longer be the world's piggy bank. This was America first, prioritizing U.S. interests, even if it meant challenging allies and disrupting global supply chains. The hope was that companies would reinvest in America, creating jobs and boosting the economy. But other countries retaliated, imposing their own tariffs on American goods. The result, a tit-for-tat trade war that rippled across the global economy. Economists warned tariffs could raise prices for American consumers and hurt companies relying on imported parts. Ford's situation became a public example of these risks. Instead of bringing jobs home, tariffs sometimes made it too costly to do business in the U.S. The strategy was bold, but the consequences were unpredictable. The trade war was supposed to protect American industry, but it also exposed its vulnerabilities. Ford's decision was a warning sign. The rules of global business had changed, and not always for the better. The cost of protectionism was becoming clear. Tariffs forced Ford into a tough spot. The plan was to import the Focus Active from China, keeping costs low for American buyers. But a 25% tariff changed the math overnight. Importing the car would make it thousands more expensive, too costly to compete. Ford faced two bad options: absorb the loss or pass the cost to customers and risk poor sales. Instead, Ford canceled the Focus Active for the U.S. market. The car would still be built in China and sold elsewhere, but not in America. Ford was blunt: tariffs made the car unprofitable, so they cut their losses. This move exposed a flaw in the tariff strategy. The goal was to encourage U.S. manufacturing, but Ford simply walked away from the market. For global companies, America is just one of many markets. If the US becomes too expensive, they can shift focus elsewhere. The decision was a cold lesson in global economics. Tariffs didn't bring jobs back, they pushed opportunities away. Ford's retreat was a major blow to the administration's plan. It showed that in a globalized world, companies have options. The Focus Active became a casualty of economic policy. Sometimes the simplest business decision is to leave the table. And that's exactly what Ford did. The Focus Active wasn't just another car. It was Ford's entry into the booming crossover market. Designed for young families and budget-conscious buyers, it was meant to fill a gap as Ford shifted away from sedans. Building it in China kept costs down, making it affordable for Americans. But tariffs destroyed that business model, pushing the price out of reach. The car became a symbol of the unintended consequences of the trade war. A vehicle designed for American roads would never reach them. For buyers, it meant less choice. For Ford, a lost opportunity. The empty spot in showrooms was a visible result of global conflict. The Focus Active was caught in the crossfire between Washington and Beijing. The cancellation sent a message. Economic battles have real casualties. For the government, it was a sign that tariff policy wasn't working as planned. For Ford, it was a missed chance to compete in a key segment. And for consumers, it meant one less affordable option. President Trump was furious about Ford's decision. He'd promised tariffs would bring jobs back and boost American manufacturing. Ford's move contradicted that promise, and the president made his anger public on Twitter. Trump insisted Ford could simply build the Focus Active in the US and avoid tariffs. He framed it as a test of corporate loyalty build in America, or betray American workers. But Ford pushed back, explaining that moving production stateside wasn't feasible. Setting up a new assembly line for a low-volume car would cost hundreds of millions, making it even less profitable. The public clash exposed the gap between political rhetoric and business reality. For Ford, there was no simple solution. The president wanted a patriotic gesture. Ford needed a viable business case. The standoff highlighted the tension between government policy and corporate strategy. It also showed how quickly economic debates can become political battles. Ford's response was clear. The numbers didn't add up. The president's fury couldn't change the economics. The Focus Active became a flashpoint in the larger debate over tariffs in American industry. The divide between Washington and Detroit had never been more public, and the world was watching. While leaders argued, the real impact hit American workers and families. The Focus Active's cancellation meant lost opportunities, not just for Ford but for suppliers and communities. Every car model supports jobs across a vast network of parts makers and local businesses. When a car is canceled, the shock waves ripple through towns and families. For buyers, it meant fewer choices and potentially higher prices. The affordable crossover segment lost a key competitor. If tariffs push more companies to cut models, the market could shrink further. Economic policies aren't just numbers, they shape lives and livelihoods. An empty showroom spot is more than lost sales. It's a lost job, a missed contract, a family's dream deferred. The hidden costs of a trade war are felt far from the headlines. They're measured at kitchen tables across America. For car buyers, the effects were immediate. No Focus Active in America. But the long-term impact could reshape the entire market. Fewer models mean less competition and, over time, higher prices. Tariffs also raise costs for materials and parts. Even for cars built in the US, automakers must choose absorb the costs or pass them to consumers. Many are shifting focus to larger, more profitable trucks and SUVs. The affordable new car is becoming an endangered species. For first-time buyers and families on a budget, this is troubling. The dream of owning a new car is slipping further out of reach. Buyers are caught in the middle of a policy battle they didn't create. The Focus Active story is a warning. Protectionist policies can shrink choice and raise costs for everyone. The future of the American car market is less certain than ever. Ford's decision marks a turning point for the company and the nation. The company faces a world where trade disputes can upend business overnight. Ford may shift more investment overseas if US policies remain unpredictable. The US auto industry is learning that global supply chains can't be easily untangled. Policies meant to bring jobs home can sometimes drive them away. Other automakers are watching closely, weighing their own moves. The clash between government goals and corporate realities is growing. Companies must serve shareholders, not just national interests. Sudden policy changes make long-term investment risky. The next move belongs to policymakers. Will they resolve disputes or double down on protectionism? Ford sacrificed the Focus Active to protect its bottom line. The future of Made in America now hangs in the balance. The story isn't over, and its outcome will shape the next chapter of American industry.